We're producing just over 1 million litres a year. To deliver our beer across the country, the most efficient way to do that is a mixture of road and rail. It's tricky in New Zealand. Transport is difficult. It's a big country with a small population base, and the rail is absolutely integral for those longer trips and the bigger movements of stock.
Nexus Logistics is a container transport solutions company that's look after our customers' supply chain when it comes to anything that starts and finishes in a container. We are really committed to make sure that we keep introducing more volume and cargo to KiwiRail's network.
With our customers in the Lower North Island. For us, having a reliable, consistent capacity on a daily basis is a cornerstone to our landside offering.
We're unique in the fact that our production plant is pretty isolated from our export port. When we're looking at bringing our products over from the West Coast, we've got to navigate some pretty turbulent weather. It's not uncommon for the pass to be closed. From a roading perspective, it affects our trucks. We navigate a lot of that by relying on the rail service with something that we can count on day in, day out to help us push through the product through our supply chain.
Littleton Port's a really diverse port. We have a range of trades and services that work through the port.
We're based in Auckland and Christchurch. We've got 400 staff in New Zealand, and we manage around about 80,000 pallets under 3PL. We use rail for lots of things, so we send freight up to Auckland and we bring freight down from Auckland, but we also use it from Littleton Port into Midland Port. We use it in off ports of Auckland, into Nexus, into the Wiri Inland Port, and obviously also into Metro Port in Nelson Street.
Of KiwiRail's role, which is really key from the partnership point of view. If we've got 30 containers that are coming down to the facility that are going to be devanned by staff, the robots are planned, and then the trucks are then distributing that product that afternoon. If we get a delay within the KiwiRail network, that's a knock-on effect from the staff planning, from how the robots operate, as well as the road network that distribute the product to the stores.
One of the risks that we see in New Zealand in the future, in the next 5 years, and where KiwiRail has got a massive part to play, is the boats are going to get bigger and they're going to cool less. That means instead of us having 60 containers on a boat, we might have to have 120 to 180 containers. We're going to need the support of rail and the inland ports to be able to balance that cargo back into our sheds, because we can only process so much cargo.
We're growing the sawmill, we're going to grow to over 50 a day equivalent. So we're exporting over 21,000 20-foot equivalents out of Napier. When you look at the havoc that Gabriel wreaked, and we had to move to a trucking model, we had to reconfigure to run 24/7 to load the trucks. We struggled to find trucks, really struggled to find drivers. You can imagine 45 trucks a day. I think we've got enough problems with congestion and roadworks, and just not possible. If we weren't using rail in New Zealand, we just don't have the roading infrastructure to handle. And people don't really notice when it's on rail, but if you put the trucks on the road, I think we really do start squeaking.
One of the key reasons selected to partner with KiwiRail was the sustainability and what we'd also call social license to operate. By removing 30 containers off the road every day, that's 30 trucks that are off the road, and that's then 30 less incidents that can happen with the public versus a truck on the motorways.
If you're going to move away from rail, you're going to have to spend a whole lot of money and build decent roading networks and infrastructure. Rail allows you to move a huge volume with 2 staff and the amount of trucks it takes off the road.
We've had some good growth strategies with KiwiRail to enable different modes of our transportation on rail. With all these efforts are looking at us finding more efficient ways and effective ways to move our product on rail. So we're always looking at ways to innovate and sort of lean into rail as a core mode of transport.
Littleton Port have plans to continue to grow as we see the likes of the container vessels growing and ports consolidating down into fewer larger ports. We see growth very much on our radar, and we see rail as a big part of that ability to move larger volumes of cargo, longer distances, to consolidate into bigger hub ports. I think is where the future is going and where we see things going here at Littleton Port. If we didn't have rail, we would be looking to put more trucks on, and if you think about the wider implications for a city like Christchurch of having more trucks, congesting the city roads, the whole concept of what we're doing with our Midland Inland Port is to rail volume around the city, and so volume will continue to come to the port. It'll just come in a less efficient, less sustainable way, and it will have bigger impacts on our communities.
I think we're really struggling to maintain our road network as it is. I don't think we necessarily use rail as well as we should, and it's often the transitioning from road to rail I think we're not necessarily very good at economically doing. I think if you've got good solid regular flows, rail is perfect.
We've got lots of different plans with KiwiRail in the future, lots of different strategies, and that's all about building a sustainable supply chain network, and that's that interconnection between Auckland, Christchurch and Auckland, so that's a key part. Obviously from a driver shortage point of view is a key point, also from a carbon reduction is a key point, and cost. And if you can show customers those three things with maintaining their service or improving their service, it's win-win for everybody.
You know, we'd like to see more volume being railed. At the moment, there's probably just not really the capacity to do that. You know, really positive to see that there's a loco replacement program, and we're going to see locos brought in and through Littleton Port end of the year to add to capacity. I think there can be more on rail, and I think we need to continue to work really closely to ensure that that happens.
The future in New Zealand at the moment, the economy is definitely very tight. People are now looking for further savings within their supply chain. So that's where we're working with KiwiRail to go, what other volume can we put onto the rail? But we believe over the next 6 to 12 months, the industry will start to bounce back. And then we need to make sure we've got a really good cadence when it comes to customer service with Nexus, with KiwiRail and our other partners.
We would love to see sawmill products sent by rail to other destinations in New Zealand. We'd like to see it go east and west as well as south. The potential is there for that, the lines are there for that, and we'd love to see that happen.
It's been great to see the investment in KiwiRail in the last 6 to 7 years. I think that some of those investments are going to take 10 to 15 years to work through those business cases and show the real benefits. But from New Zealand's GDP and from New Zealand's economy, KiwiRail is a really important supplier to the logistics and transport sector to ensure New Zealand can compete on the world stage.